go back to the idea of the multiverse. You know how to function in a physical reality, but did you know that our physical bodies show us what we need to know about the reality we live in? There's a metaphysical saying, as above, so below, as below, so above. This is one of the 7 Hermetic principles. Now, these are the rules of our reality. And what this means is that if you look in a microscope, you will pretty much have the same view that you have looking in a telescope. That we are a microcosm of a macrocosm and a macrocosm of a microcosm. So that anything you know, like take our physical body, you will have an understanding about our reality. And so let me take that a little further. If you look inside this physical body, you will find a pulmonary system, the lungs, right? And you will find, I guess they call it respiratory, and then the heart. And that's the cardiovascular system. And the digestive system, the endocrine system, the elimination system. Oh, it's all in there, right? Well, we've got a nervous system. When you think about it, if you lived in the heart, you might not be aware of the lungs or the brain or the digestion, but it's all part of your reality. You have to have that oxygen coming in. You have to have that food coming in, and you have to have the elimination of the toxins. You have to have the glandular system functioning, or it just isn't totally in balance. And so it is that we live in a reality that in our reality, there's a lot more coming in and influencing us that we are not aware of. And that is what we call the spiritual realms or different dimensions. Now, I'm going to separate those because I want you to realize that not everything in another dimension is spiritual, but everything in this reality is spiritual. Now, that's kind of a crazy comment, isn't it? Everything in this reality is spiritual. And what I'm saying is that just like when you put a piling in the water to maybe put a deck on, you have that piling driven into the earth. And so you're part of the earth. And you have it in the water, so it's part of the water. And then there's a part that sticks up in the air, so it's part of the air. That piling is in 3 realities: air, water, and earth. Each one of us exists in a multiverse of realities. We exist in the spiritual reality, we exist in the physical reality, and we also exist in the emotional reality. Now, the best way to see that is the chakras of the body. And the chakras are what we would call energy centers that draw energy into the physical form. Now, the first major chakra, for there are many little minor ones like on your palms, and a way to feel that is just rub them and then feel what you feel. Feel when you touch a plant, feel when you feel different things, what you feel. And you'll find that there is a sensitivity that comes up that is not tactile. It's more of an awareness feeling. But you need to practice this. So there's chakras in the hands, but there's also 7 major chakras. And these go up the spine. The first one starts at the base of the spine, back where the tailbone is. The second one is just below the navel. The third is just above the navel in what we call the solar plexus. Then we have the heart, the throat, the third eye, and then the crown chakra. Now, these are energy centers that connect us with the multiverse that we live in. Just like your blood connects you with all systems within the body, everything in the body is connected by blood and even nerves. And so this is a way that we are connected, is through these chakras. Now, there is an energy that flows through the crown chakra and moves through these different chakras, these energy centers. But in addition to that, they are like, I don't want to say lungs because they don't literally breathe, but they function almost like a lung in that they draw in spiritual energy and then they give it back out. Now, scientists have proved that there is energy in the body, but nothing that creates the energy. They can actually measure the electromagnetic currents inside of the body, but there's nothing that generates it. It's drawn into the body through these chakras. And as it comes in, it opens us to different levels of awareness. So these chakras bring energy into our body, and it is that they service our physical body and they unify us with the spiritual and other dimensions of our reality. So we are always enmeshed in this spiritual energy. It's always flowing in and through us. Now, the lower chakras, the base is about survival, and the second is about intimacy, and the third, the solar plexus, is consciousness, is the way the brain actually functions. Well, maybe not the brain, but the intellect or the sense of consciousness. Now, that's different than the third eye, which has awareness. It's like, think about sitting somewhere and having fallen asleep, and as you're waking up, you become aware that you're outdoors and there's a breeze, and you just have a knowing that you are safe and where you are without identifying each detail, without being really conscious of it, but just being aware. Now, that is awareness. But consciousness is the rational reasoning, the ability to contrast, to compare, to think things through, to deduce things, to extrapolate information. It's that higher cognizance. But that happens in the physical reality. And these base three chakras, these three at the bottom, have consciousness. Now, if we live our life with thinking and reacting, we go from being aware of something, having information, trying to do something with it, but we very seldom move to a higher awareness. Now, the heart chakra is about feeling. And so if we do something and we allow ourselves feelings about it, whether they're positive or negative or reactive, it doesn't matter. It's non-discriminating. It is what it is. We feel. If we allow feeling and we begin to express it through the throat chakra, then we come to higher awarenesses. We get that aha moment, that moment of just realization, like, oh, have you ever been having a conversation with someone and they're talking about this and you're talking about that, and all of a sudden there's a moment where almost like brilliance, a light bulb happens, and you perceive something that neither of you are talking about, but seems to qualify or clarify and uplift. That's because through the expression, we come to higher awarenesses. Now, if we allow that awareness to go up, we connect with the spirit realms or the divine, or all that is, the higher consciousness of other individuals. So when I talk about living in a multiverse, there's this wonderful scripture about Jacob's ladder. And Jacob saw these angels going up a ladder and then descending back. And they were going up the chakra system from the conscious to the higher conscious to gather information. And from that place of being, once they had information, then they were coming back down to apply it. So think of this. When shamans say that imagination is real, that imagination is how the soul sees, what they're speaking of is that your third eye, your ability to perceive the larger picture, the divine picture, allows you not just to see the physical reality, but the totality of the reality. And so when you begin to awaken your intuitive ability, when you begin to get out of survival or living in a practical world, a functional world, and you start exploring the what if. Think about this. What if instead of using your mind to show you what the problem was and why you couldn't have something, you took command of your mind? What if you said to your mind, stop. Don't tell me what I already know. I don't want to hear it. This is what I desire. This is what I'm willing to accept here and now. And you give your mind the command, just like Jean-Luc Picard on the Enterprise, make it so. Don't come back and talk to me in any form until you have a solution that works 100%. Bye. Did you know that if you do that, you stop fretting, you stop worrying? Because your mind begins to realize that it has a job to do. And that job is not telling you what you already know and meeting expectations, but it's making you right, giving you information. That's what it's there for. You are not your mind. Your mind is a companion that assists you with your reality. So when you begin to let your brain give you information, not only will it give you a sense of what else are your options, it will begin to take you up into a feeling level, into a way of expression, and into a way of perceiving that you don't allow yourself to do. Now, many people say to me, how will I become psychic? And I have two answers. One is, you already are. It's just that you have it in the closet, you're not using it. The other is, do you really want to know? Isn't this life more adventurous in the discovery, in the waiting to see what happens next? Well, that's how you're living it, so it must be. I had a friend, his name was Walt, and he said, Teresa, I want you to teach me how to be psychic. And I said, okay, I can do that in 5 minutes or less. And so he went away with the information, and he called me up some days later, and he was very angry, very angry. I said, Walt, what happened? And he said, you know those exercises you gave me to do? I'm starting to know things about people that I don't want to know. And it's making me really angry because I like my dentist, and this is really annoying to know these things about him. And I like the musician who composed this particular piece of music, and I don't want to know that he stole it from someone else. So, you know, being psychic isn't really the goal. Being psychic is when we're in the physical, we think it will give us answers and get us abundance and opportunities. But it's not being psychic that gives us that. It's being respectful of ourselves and living to our true potential by living in the multiverse that we are, being connected to the spiritual realm. Now, the more spiritual you become, the more intuitive you will be. It's kind of like the old chicken and the egg, which came first. Because the more that you trust your instincts and the more that you allow your mind to come to a place of perception, the more that you are aware that there is some sort of spiritual plan and a spiritual reality. And the more that you have that, the more you tap into it. And the more that makes you an incredibly psychic individual. Now, if you wish to be psychic, there's no error. But you also have to realize that in being psychic, you have to be of high integrity. You have to be able to accept people for who they are. You have to have compassion. For without compassion, as you begin to know people for who they are, for the secrets they have, you will find yourself being reactive, and this is not productive or respectful to yourself or to others. So how to live in this multiverse? Begin every day with some form of spiritual practice. I have one I like. It's every morning I sit down with my cup of comfort. Today it's green tea, and I sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil, and I just reflect on my day. What's happening this day? Am I working? Am I visiting? Am I playing? And I set at the top of that an intention, just one word, a word that reminds me over and over again what I want to achieve from this day. If I have a friend who has been lost, it may be grief. I may have a child who is celebrating something, and it may be celebration. I may have a very difficult business opportunity, and it may be focus or professionalism. And I put that on the top of the page. And then under it, I list what I call my chores for the day, the things that I need to accomplish. And after I have done that, I close my eyes and I visualize the day being fulfilling, satisfying, that I am relaxed and receiving guidance from a higher level. And as I do that, I begin my day looking at my list and pulling from it whatever is my priority. Now, if someone comes to me and offers me another task, I ask them to put it on my list. And the reason being is that we can react to every stimulus that comes into our life, or we can make a choice of what we want out of life and begin to live a more purposeful, a more focused life. The more that we allow ourselves to feel, and there are some of you that are out of touch with your feelings, or you have family members that are out of touch with their feelings, get yourself some index cards. And take those index cards, and you'll find on the internet, remember all the smiley faces, the little faces, the ones that I'm sad, I'm glad, I'm mad, I'm bad, okay? Get one of those printouts and take your index cards and put a feeling on each card. And you put on the flip side the little face. And when you're in a situation where you're either frustrated or annoyed, this is a good time for you to sit there and just go through the cards. Just go, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, 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 no. And just sort them out. Then you have your little pile, and you can pick them up, and you can say, okay, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm dissatisfied, I feel respected, and you've got your list. then you can begin to tell yourself the story of what is it you're truly feeling. I'm frustrated because I feel disrespect, and this is making me very angry. Anger. Anger I could talk about for a long time. Did you know that anger is not a true emotion? No, it's not. Well, you'll say, yes, I feel it, but it's not an emotion. Emotions are what we feel when we feel very clear in what is not focusing or happening for us. Anger is like the byproduct of emotions that are not resolved. So say we're sad or we're disrespected. What will happen is that we kind of shut down and we don't function for a period of time. And then the next thing that happens is we start getting angry. And that's like a fermentation. That's kind of the rotting down of the feeling. And it comes out in a stinky way, if you know what I mean. We will vent it. Now, if we vent it appropriately, it's a good thing. But if we don't, it can kind of get icky for ourselves and other people. Now, think of this, that when we go to vent through anger, we have a force that pushes us back into life and allows us to accomplish something. So when we're back here at the index cards, you may have angry, but angry isn't the feeling. What are we really feeling? Are we feeling disappointed, disillusioned, disrespected? Go to the real core of the feeling and you will see that this isn't really what's going on. So what I'd like to say here is get in touch with your feelings. And if you don't know how, use this little method. Use it with your children. Use it with your mate, because it's going to be a way to clarify. Because as we get out of thinking about things in this solar plexus region and we move up to feeling and being able to express our feelings, we come up to this chakra here, and that just drives us to higher awarenesses. Haven't you ever found that after you have incredible feelings and you express them in some way, you have incredible insights? That's when you connect with spirit, when you open yourself to perceive things on a spiritual level. And when you are in that place of awareness, you will find that you're not conscious, but you're higher conscious. It's like if you try to think, it brings you right back down. But if you stay there and just observe and be present, you begin to know things. You begin to perceive. And you begin to know exactly how to have an extraordinary life. That an extraordinary life is not about doing life. It's about being totally present in your life, totally aware that you live in a multiverse and that you can manifest. You can pull from many different aspects and many different realities for information, even for that which you desire. And miracle shall follow miracle, and wonders will never cease. To quote Florence Shinn, you begin to manifest things that you think are impossible. And this comes not because you do it, but because you're present and you allow yourself to perceive what is already there. And your mind, instead of telling you what you cannot do, begins to tell you ways to accomplish that which you would desire to do. And it opens to you a whole new world, a place of being where you are totally fulfilled, and you look at your life with wonder that just getting out of your mind, being more present, being more connected with all that is, has brought you to this wonderful place where you are alive. You no longer survive your life. You're no longer caught in the rut of doing what you need to do to get by. You're living with a sense of feeling, a sense of passion, a sense of expression. And that is bringing you awarenesses of what else is part of your reality that you previously haven't connected into. So, go plan your life. Go plan to show up, to have fun, to experience life, but feel and get in touch with your feelings and express that, because that will drive you into higher awarenesses. Stop your mind from editing you and telling you what you can and cannot do. Tell your brain, go get you solutions. Don't give you problems. Tell everyone to be respectful, including yourself, and you will find that you already have an extraordinary life. You just need to start living it.